Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 has finally been released, and so far I've been able to put a good amount of hours into the multiplayer. So today I want to do a review on the multiplayer, breaking down the good, the alright, and the bad. Now keep in mind, everything I say will be completely based on my opinion. Something I find good might be a bad thing for you, or something I find bad might be a good thing for you. So just keep that in mind when watching this video. Anyhow, I'd like to start off by answering the question, should you even buy Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 for the multiplayer? Well, in my opinion, I think you should definitely buy MW3 for the multiplayer if you're someone who really enjoys playing the multiplayer within Call of Duty. Personally, I think that the multiplayer is really good this year, as there's not much that's wrong with it. Surprisingly, MW3 actually had a really good launch, as there are really no major bugs or performance issues. Also, it seems the developers are really listening to the community this year because they actually fixed, added, and removed a lot of stuff that was complained about in the beta. While I don't think the MW3 multiplayer is by any means the best multiplayer we've ever gotten, I think it's at least one of the best multiplayers we've gotten in a few years. I think that it's easily the best Call of Duty multiplayer we've gotten since maybe Call of Duty Black Ops 3. So if you've been waiting for a good Call of Duty multiplayer, then MW3 definitely delivers. MW3 multiplayer honestly feels like a well-polished experience, as there's a lot they did right this time around, and there's so much stuff in the game that the community has been asking for that they finally added in. So again, if you're looking to buy this game for the multiplayer, then my answer is yes, you should 100% buy it, as I think it's worth your money because you'll have a lot of fun playing it. With that question answered, I now want to talk about all the good that this game has to offer. To start things off, I want to talk about the visibility within the game. This was a big thing that was pretty bad within the beta. However, I'm happy to say within the full release of the game, it has been fixed. You can easily see enemy nameplates from most distances unless they're really far away. It looks like they not only made the enemy nameplates bigger, but they also put some stroke on the words so that they pop out a lot more and can be seen easier. Also, the visibility in the maps is much better as well. They increase the brightness in most areas and increase the vibrance and saturation so the maps aren't as dark and gloomy. Furthermore, I love the MW2 integration. I think that adding all the MW2 weapons into the game was a good idea, as it allows for more of a variety of weapons to choose from. I believe there's over 70 different weapons in MW3, with both the MW2 and MW3 weapons combined. This is by far the largest amount of weapons to be released in any Call of Duty game ever. Figure if you didn't play MW3 at all, that means you'll have over 70 weapons to level up. Not to mention there's 2 separate mastery camo grinds for all of the weapons. This is because the MW3 weapons have their own mastery camo to unlock, and the MW2 weapons have their own mastery camo to unlock as well. That puts the amount of unlockable camos between both of the game's weapons at over 900 plus camos. This is a huge camo grind if you were to unlock all the camos. Even if you didn't, it still would be a huge grind to get both the mastery camos unlocked if you didn't already do the MW2 mastery camo grind. Now, as for the MW2 camos, the grind will be a little bit more difficult because you have to get a lot of long shots. But for the MW3 camos, that's not the case, as between all the weapons, you only need a total of 80 long shots, which is a breeze compared to MW2. I like this as it allows for not only an easy camo grind for the MW3 weapons, but it also makes the camo grind to be more enjoyable and less tedious. People don't have to sit around posted on a lane just to get a bunch of long shots anymore. Along with the weapons and camos that got put into MW3 from MW2, all your cosmetic items got transferred over from MW2 to MW3 as well, which I think is fantastic. That means all the bundles you paid for in MW2 will be available to use in MW3. Everything from your operator skins to your calling cards, emblems, backgrounds, vehicle skins, weapon blueprints, stickers, and more from MW2 are all available to use in MW3. This is the first time this has ever happened in Call of Duty history, so this is huge. Additionally, the maps within MW3 are pretty good for the most part. All the classic 2009 MW2 maps have been remastered and put into MW3. I'd say the majority of the maps are good, while there are a few alright ones. But to have the majority of the maps be good is a huge step up from only having 2 or 3 maps be good, like in MW2 or even previous years. I feel like the classic 2009 MW2 maps actually work really well in MW3, even with the faster style of movement. Speaking of maps, map voting is back, which is a great addition in my opinion. This is a feature that I think should have never left Call of Duty, so I'm glad it's back. Likewise, the MW3 guns seem to be within a pretty good spot right now. I believe there's a total of 36 of them, and they're all pretty viable options. I will say the SMGs do seem kind of weak though compared to the assault rifles or battle rifles, because most of the maps have a longer range of lines of sight. Moreover, the movement within MW3 feels really good. Everything has been sped up a lot more from MW2. The running, jumping, sliding, tack sprinting, mantling, and even the strafing has all been sped up to feel more faster and fluid. They even added the ability to slide cancel again within the game. While it's not as fast as it was in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 or Call of Duty Vanguard, it's still pretty quick and can allow you to be able to move around the map much faster. You could even use it to engage into or disengage out of gunfights, as well as give you an advantage within a gunfight. I'd say the movement is in a really good spot right now and is so much better than it was in MW2. You're able to play faster and more aggressively because of it, and I like that a lot. Moving on to the change to the TTK, it has been increased from 100 to 150. I like this change as it allows for people who are more accurate and can stay on target for longer to be rewarded for being the more skilled player. Beforehand, when the TTK was at 100, it really was a matter of who was able to get their gun up faster and who was able to get on target faster. It was a game of who saw who first. But with a higher TTK, that's not the case. I will say it takes some adjusting to be able to get used to the higher TTK, but that's okay. Furthermore, the game's performance is surprisingly pretty good, as personally I haven't experienced many issues at all. While there are a few small bugs and glitches here and there, for the most part the game runs good. There's no crashing issues or major game-breaking bugs that I've experienced or know about at all. This is a major step up from MW2, as that game launched with terrible crashing issues and major game-breaking bugs that plagued the game. They were so bad that they made the game feel like it was unplayable, but luckily with MW3 that's not the case. Additionally, there's a good variety of kill streaks within the game, as there's a few returning from MW2 and a couple new ones like the SAM turret, the Guardian, or the Mosquito drone. I also like that you have the ability to change your kill streaks to score streaks again if you'd like to. Likewise, the perk system is actually good this year. They removed the whole system where you have to earn your perks throughout the match. Instead, you get 3, or should I say 4, of your perks right away at the start of the match with no delay whatsoever. The reason I say 4 is because they changed the perks around to gear now, and you get 4 pieces of gear. Don't worry, they still function the same as traditional perks though. You still have your standard perks like EOD, Ghost, Tac Mask, Cold-Blooded, etc. Just now they're categorized as gear. As I said, you get 4 pieces of gear, which would be your vest, gloves, boots, and gear. Within each category, you'll find perks that you know and love. I think this perk system is not bad. While there's nothing wrong with the traditional perk system, this whole gear thing works too. Speaking of the gear, one of the pieces of gear within the boots category is the fan favorite and beloved Dead Silence. That's right, it's finally a perk again, and I'm happy to see its return. I think that having Dead Silence as a perk allows for people to be able to make plays whenever they want. What I mean by this is, let's say you want to push a flank. You won't be able to do that because the enemies will hear you coming. But if you have Dead Silence, then they no longer will hear you anymore, which allows you to push that flank with no problems. Moving on to the equipment within the MW3 Multiplayer, that being the lethals, tacticals, and field upgrades. There's honestly a good amount of all of them. They have everything from your frag grenade to your Sentex to your flash grenade to even stims for both your lethals and tacticals. Then for your field upgrades, you have everything from your munitions box to your trophy system to even a recon drone. Pretty much everything you would expect is within this game, with a couple new additions. But for the most part, everything is what you'd see from the last few previous Call of Duty games. Finally, the last few things that I think are worth mentioning that are good within the MW3 multiplayer is there's lots of challenges to complete. There's plenty of bundles already in the store. You can now reload cancel again, the traditional minimap is back, and there's now detailed gun stats for all of the weapons. These are all fantastic additions to the game and changes made to the game. They are all things that make the game that much better and provide for a better experience. While they might seem small, little things like that really go a long way. Alright, so now that I've talked about all the good that the MW3 multiplayer offers, it's time to talk about all the alright things within the game. These are things that aren't necessarily the best, but aren't necessarily the worst. Kind of stuff that could use some improvement, but does not drastically affect the game. The first alright thing is the spawns. The spawns are so much better than they were in the beta. It's almost like they got a full rework for the full release because they're actually pretty good now. However, they still could use some work. I think in some game modes, like for example Hardpoint, they definitely still could use some adjustment, as sometimes you could still spawn pretty close to an enemy. But for the most part, spawns seem to be in a much better spot, as you're not constantly spawning on top of enemies or into literal gunfights. While they could use some more work, I'd say that they are definitely heading in the right direction with them and are nowhere near as bad as they once were. Furthermore, the firing range didn't get any sort of improvement whatsoever, so while it's still nice that we have a firing range, it just sucks that the one we have is extremely basic and lackluster. I think they could have made a few improvements to make it more useful and to actually help you practice. I think the biggest problem with the firing range is it's just used to quickly test out a weapon and that's it. There could be so much more to it, like a system where you could fully adjust the targets. For example, it would be nice if you can change the distance of them, if they can move or not, if they're just regular targets or actual bots or even balls, and even what time you'd like to be shooting them for. This would allow you to actually be able to practice within the firing range and not just use it to test out a weapon real quick. Then you'd be able to have a way to get better at the game in a safer environment. Additionally, the attachment unlock system is still the same as it was in MW2, where you have to level up a certain gun to get a certain attachment. For example, let's say you want a certain sight for one of your ARs that you're currently using. Well, unfortunately, you have to level up this shotgun to per se level 12 just to unlock that sight. While it's not like that for all the attachments in the game, as most of them you can unlock for your gun using that gun, but there's still a few attachments that you have to level up a certain gun just to get that scope that you want, and I don't really like that system. Likewise, the way you earn XP for kills is weird within this game. Sometimes when you kill someone, you'll only receive 80 XP or 90 XP instead of 100 XP, even though you killed the person by yourself with no assistance from anyone else. This system just doesn't make any sense to me, because if I kill a guy and it was my kill, then I should receive 100% of that XP for it. So why am I only getting 80 XP or 90 XP for the kill? Well, it's something small, that loss of XP adds up over time. Let's say if I earned 100 XP for every kill, then it would take me 15 games to level up my gun. But now, because I'm earning 80 XP for that kill or 90 XP for this kill, it now takes me 18 games to level up that same gun. Finally, the last few things that I think are alright within the MW3 multiplayer is I feel like the health regeneration is too slow, the enemy footsteps are too quiet, and there's no quick fix perk at all. With the health regeneration, it just feels like it takes way too long to get back to full health, so you're out of the fight for longer and you're more vulnerable for longer. As for the enemy footsteps, I can't really hear them most of the time, and that's with the enemy not even using dead silence. I feel like I should be able to hear the enemies a little bit better, so I could be ready for the gunfight quicker. Then there's the fact that there's no quick fix perk. I feel like this is a must-have perk at this point, especially when the health regeneration takes so long. It should 100% be in the game, yet it's not. For someone who likes to play more aggressively, I could really use this perk. Okay, so now that I've talked about both the good and the alright things within the MW3 multiplayer, it's time to talk about the bad. To start things off, skill-based matchmaking is back and it's worse than ever. This year it feels like they've really ramped it up because every single lobby has been extremely sweaty. Per usual, it feels like my team always sucks while the enemy team is a bunch of pro players. I hate that skill-based matchmaking is in the game, and I really wish we could get the connection-based matchmaking back. Really, skill-based matchmaking is only needed for the bottom 10 to 20% of players who are brand new to the game or play with some sort of disability. Or even within the ranked game mode for the top 10 to 20% of players so they have a fair experience. But other than that, for the rest of the players, skill-based matchmaking is not needed and shouldn't be within what's supposed to be the casual game modes. Unfortunately, it seems like it's never going away. Furthermore, the menu system or UI from MW2 has returned, and I don't know why because it's terrible. As I've said in the past, it feels like it was designed for a mobile game as you have to scroll to find everything. It literally is a challenge to be able to find what you're looking for half the time because of how confusing it is. It's almost like the people who designed the Netflix or Hulu UI had designed the MW3 UI because it literally looks like you're on either one of them when you log on to MW3. It's just too much. Everything's huge for no reason and in your face, and there's just so much you have to click through to get to where you want to go. I hate having to scroll for half an hour just to find the attachment I want or the kill streak that I want. It's just not fitting for a game whatsoever, and it needs to be simplified. There was nothing wrong with the list system that they had in place, so why they changed it is a mystery to me. Additionally, there's this new thing called Armory Unlocks, and I hate it. Pretty much how it works is for certain items within the game, like certain weapons, perks, attachments, lethals, tacticals, field upgrades, and even kill streaks, you have to complete daily challenges to unlock them. Regardless of your rank, these items are locked behind daily challenges, and once you complete all your daily challenges, then wins count towards the progression of the Armory Unlocks until a new set of daily challenges come out, and then the cycle repeats itself. I think this system is way too confusing, and it just feels like they're shoving having to do the daily challenges down our throats. I just want to be able to unlock everything by leveling up. I don't want to go out of my way to do daily challenges just to unlock the gun that I want. That's honestly stupid. What's worse is they can range anywhere from 2 to 8 daily challenges per Armory Unlock, which is just way too much in my opinion. I don't like this system at all, and I wish it was removed from the game because it's just annoying to deal with. Finally, the last thing that I think is bad about the MW3 multiplayer is the file size of the game is just way too big. It's upwards of 200 gigabytes on some people's systems, which is just way too much. I personally had to uninstall a few games on my computer just to install MW3. They need to optimize the game better because upwards of 200 gigabytes of storage is insane for one game. I shouldn't have to uninstall like 3 or 4 games just to play MW3. That's ridiculous. In conclusion, I would definitely recommend purchasing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 for the multiplayer, as the multiplayer this year is overall really good. There's a lot of good that the multiplayer offers, like the visibility being a lot better, the maps are good for the most part, the movement has been sped up, and more. However, there are some alright things like the spawns, the firing range, the attachment unlock system, and more. Then unfortunately, there are some bad things like skill-based matchmaking returning, the terrible menu system, the armory unlocks, and more. Luckily, the MW3 Multiplayer has more good than it does bad, and it has a lot to offer. I think that if you enjoy playing Call of Duty multiplayer and you're looking for a good multiplayer experience, then this game definitely delivers. Just keep in mind that with skill-based matchmaking being in the game, it does ruin the experience a little bit, so be aware of that. Honestly, if I can give the MW3 Multiplayer a score out of 10, I think that it would be a solid 8. It could be higher if they fix a few things and make some additions, which I think they will, then it could definitely go up to an 8.5. However, I know they won't remove skill-based matchmaking or fix the menu system, so that's about as far as I would go, because those two things really hold it back from being a 10. Ultimately, it's your money, so spend it how you want to, but if you're looking to get back into Call of Duty, this year might just be the year to do it if you're buying it for the multiplayer. That's it for me though. Have you played the MW3 Multiplayer? And if so, what are your opinions on it? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like, and if you want more content like this, then subscribe. Have a great day, everyone.
Changing mags. Taking effective fire. Switching mags! Stun grenade! I'll teach you to mess with me, fam! Under fire! Needs a hill! Incoming back! Pissed! They're on me! Smash one! Switching mags! X-ray down!
1 minute remaining.
Changing mag! Changing mags! Ooh, too close that one.